This is Top Shop Podcast.
Shop Podcast.
Top Shop Podcast.
Podcast for automotive service business owners by Paul Donahue.
I've been looking forward for this podcast for some time. We have Bret Fadely, Fadely's Auto Masters. This is a family-owned business that the father started in 1977. So you've been at it for 48 years.
Pretty much, yeah.
So,
I've been part of the business almost 40, so.
Right. So I'm going to assume that you grew up in a shop.
I grew up around it and in it, but not really as a technician or mechanic.
Right.
My skill set was more in the front office area.
Okay.
So I can change your oil and maybe your tires, but don't ask me to do some heavy stuff, or you'll be getting comebacks if I do the repair.
Okay. So, and Bret's not only an auto repair shop owner, because I interview a lot of people that are in the industry with organizations like the Mid-Atlantic ACA. So you were president of the AASP, and now that's all one organization. Now it's all the Mid-Atlantic Auto Care Alliance, which is a great acquisition, merger, whatever you want to call it, putting together two phenomenal groups together. So we're going to be at Tools. I can't wait, but I get to see you in person. So we'll be at the Tools conference this year. So tell me a little bit about that merger, or the two coming together. So that's big news.
The Alliance of Automotive Service Providers was a national organization. And here in PA, we were one of the affiliates that were part of that. And a lot of things changed. I mean, the organization here in PA was kind of starting to dwindle, membership, getting people involved. And there's a couple separate organizations here in PA. And my vision was to bring the organizations under one umbrella so we can better the industry here in Pennsylvania, provide more for the membership, and link arms and move this industry forward. And I saw the need and started conversations with the Mid-Atlantic ACA group, and it took us about a year.
Oh, okay. So you contacted them. All right.
I extended the olive branch. Long story short, that contingent left AASP probably about 10, 12 years ago because of attitudes, and there was butting of heads in the organization.
Okay.
And I don't like seeing cliques. We're all here for one purpose, and that is to better the industry.
Correct.
So we started conversations, and it took us about a year, and we finally came together and, came together as the Mid-Atlantic. They had the best to offer for what we were looking for to go forward. So we not only support the mechanical side of the industry, we're supporting the collision side, the towing side. We're looking for the best thing we can do. And with Sherry Hamilton's help from the Midwest ACA, it's been a great thing to go forward. And legislative is huge. And we get people say, well, what's the benefits? Well, truthfully, back in the day, in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, benefit package for any organization was huge. Those benefits now you can get with any group, or you can find the benefits on your own nowadays. So the biggest benefit you get out of this is training. Networking is the biggest thing. I am a huge advocate for networking. And then legislative here in PA. We have a lobbyist that helping us for over almost 40 years with the organization up here in Harrisburg for legislation that could affect our industry, good or bad.
Wow. 40 years you've had someone at the state level getting your voice heard for the auto repair shop owners in PA. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's big, Bret. I mean, and that's why I was excited to have you on board, because you went well over and above what the auto repair shop owner do. I mean, you've taken a real interest in the industry as a whole, and you continue to try to improve it, but hence the reason you extended the olive branch, as in your words, to the MAACA, the MAACA, which I belong to MWACA, and I'm going to be at NWACA this year too for the first time in Seattle. So the ACA is phenomenal. What Sherry Hamilton has done with that is great. She's receiving a Golden Wrench Award this year, so that we started that. That's something I started. I want to get noticed in the industry, but I want to do it in a real positive way. So I'm looking for people that have dedicated, time and effort into, and making the industry a better place. Like you, you're probably a candidate for that award too. That's what we're looking for. I'm looking for people who have stepped out of the box and said, hey, they've really provided over and above, benefits to the automotive repair industry. That's why I started that, and I bought about 20 of these things. So I'm going to be careful who I hand them out to. And they're pretty hefty too. They weigh about 5 pounds or solid glass.
Oh, that's pretty nice.
Yeah, yeah. So that's why I did that. But anyway, let me ask a few questions. Can you just share your story? How you? I mean, 1977. I'm 61. So, what, 14, 13 back then. So to tell me the story about how you basically share your story how you got started in the auto repair shop industry. Yeah.
Well, I guess my dad was been mechanic back when he was 14, 15, working for a local garage here in York County. And, when my mother and him got married and he did his duty for Vietnam, came home, he had a vision after so many years, and it was called Fink's Garage, and Chester was the owner of it, and he was my dad's mentor. And dad decided he was going to open up his own, which is where a lot of shop owners come from now. They work on the floor and in the industry, and they have that vision of becoming a shop owner. So dad took that leap of faith, built a successful business, just went in a 2-bay small lease garage from a widow, from her husband's
Oh, wow.
place. And then in 1983, we moved to our current facility, and he continued to grow it. And my dad saw a vision, and he kept training. Training was always, you got to stay abreast of the newer technology that keeps coming out in this industry, and people don't realize that. And I've been in the business since I graduated in 1987. Been around it. I've been telling people, look, this was not my dream. This was my parents' dream. However, after attending the summit here in Amelia Island just the other week, I have to change my verbiage. It kind of woke me up. It's
Oh, really?
Yeah. I've been saying this was not my dream. But it is currently now my dream. And I had to come to that realization and hear it from somebody else saying that you have the passion, and I have passion to be here. This is all I know. This is what I want to do. So I'm going to continue my father and mother's dream and carry that legacy on. And legacy is a huge part. What I did with the association, my dad was the president back in the 80s. And when he used to have meetings, he changed the vision of the visualization of going to a meeting with the delegate body, that you had to come in a coat and tie
Wow.
for one
In the
reason.
in the auto repair industry.
He got tired of seeing guys come in their greasy work clothes, and he wanted to change the image of our profession.
Okay.
And that's still a struggle that we do with, and we have to change that. And I think we're getting there. But I've lived in here. I was never a mechanic. I was going to be a mechanic. And then my parents got their first computer for the shop, 1988, 89, or 87, I think it was.
Okay.
Right when I was coming on board. And they saw that I had some mechanical skills, but I wasn't a quote unquote mechanic. My brother had more mechanical ability than I did. And so I dropped college. I was enlisted to go, I was enrolled to go to a community college here for automotive, and then go out to Michigan to get my 4-year degree in automotive technology. I cut that real quick. And on my 18th birthday, I went and enlisted in the Army, because that was my dream.
Oh,
I
well,
wanted to be in the military since I knew what it was.
and I'm sorry,
So
I should have mentioned that at the beginning. Any veteran, I should have mentioned that, and you're an Army veteran, right? Yeah. So thank you for serving.
you're welcome. I'd still be in today if they'd still keep my old butt, but
Yeah.
I love the military life. It was something I really excelled at, and I think that's where some of my leadership stuff came from. Was my time in the Army.
Yep.
And that's where if I say I'm going to do something, I don't dip my toe. I am going to go full bore and just jump right in. but I've led this. I've been in the business. Now, unfortunately, my mom passed away in the business in 2015. So 10 years ago, she passed away from pancreatic cancer.
Okay.
And I've shared this story on a couple other podcasts that none of us knew, including my father, where the business was financially. We had plenty of work. We had successful business for after all those years. But when she died, I was able to actually get into the books because she hid it from everybody, and we had $0 in the bank.
Oh my gosh.
We owed money. We were basically on the verge of having to file bankruptcy.
After how many years in business?
Well, that was 15, so that was like 30, 35, 36 years.
Yeah.
I never went to school for this. I don't know anything about running a business. I had to learn on the fly. And by the end of that year in 2015, I had caught all our bills up. We owed nobody
Wow.
nothing, and we had $1,000 in the bank to the positive. So, and
Guys,
until now, 10 years later, I have a very positive cash flow business. So that's for I had to reach out because what we were doing all those years was not working anymore. And that's when I hired my first business coach.
that's my next question.
Against my brother and father's advice, they looked at it as an expense, but I said this is something we need to do as a business to succeed. We need somebody with that 10,000-foot view to help us get through this. And I will never not have a business coach. I find myself sometimes like, I got to get my work done. I didn't do the homework. The same thing I did in school, and everybody does. You do crash course.
Right.
But it's that accountability that I think is near and dear, that it's holding you accountable for continuing to grow and push forward.
Yeah, all of the best shops, the ones that I see that are growing, they have a couple of things really going for them. A, they have a coach, someone that's already been there and done it, and they have a digital marketing agency that's keeping them where they need to be on the internet and keeping up to date with what you mentioned earlier, which is staying abreast of new technology. There's been massive changes just recently to websites because they found out a couple of years ago 20 to 60% of all the traffic that goes to websites goes unconverted. So how do you get them to convert better? 90% of it or more of all the techniques that we use are subconscious. So, but I'll get into that. I'll get into that later. You talked about changing the perception of the industry, and until I actually got into the industry myself, that was a big thing. I didn't realize that. I went to Mentor High School, and all the high schools in Ohio had a auto repair shop class. Every single one of them. But then the 1% that own all the stock, pretty much the majority of it, said, no, we need employees. So they convinced everybody they needed to get a college education, and trades like an auto mechanic or plumber journeyman, that you don't want one of those jobs. Those are now those people are all making 100 grand plus. ASE master techs, 100 grand plus in shops. So I think there's starting to see a reversal. Do you agree where more people are starting to see the trades as a viable source of revenues for their families?
I think the trade industry is where it's at. I mean, just think about, nothing against going to college.
But look at the statistics.
Yeah.
Look at the numbers.
You come out of college, you got how many hundred, got $200,000, $300,000 in debt that you're going to have to pay off.
Yeah.
You're not guaranteed a job.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen people come out of college and they're working at McDonald's or a fast food restaurant.
Yep.
And they have all this debt to pay. Where you go to a trade school, you might spend $40,000, $50,000 for a certificate or a trade, equivalent. And you don't have the debt, and you're going to get a job where you're going to get a sustainable wage to make a nice, healthy living. And I tell my customers a lot. They'll say, well, we're not. The industry right now as a whole is not where we should be as far as what we actually should be charging for our worth. It's a struggle. We should all be getting over $250 per hour because the technology we're working on, the tooling we have to buy, and the consistent training we have to go to understand how to repair these vehicles.
Okay.
And we get people like, oh, you're charging $155, $165 an hour? I said, okay, so when's the last time you called a plumber?
Right. Yeah.
So it's $150 just to come on site, whether they're there 10 minutes or 40 minutes.
Right. Yeah.
And what has changed in that industry as far as technology goes and skills that you need, other than, new PVC and quick connects,
Right.
it is they don't have the computers and the stuff that we have to keep up with.
Yep. Constantly.
And you had mentioned there's no reason a technician, I hate using, and Carm Capriotti just did a keynote on this about changing the perspective of our industry. And he's right. Our industry came up with the word technician because we didn't like being called grease monkeys or mechanic.
Right.
And now everybody's a technician, nail technician, floor technician. So he's trying to change it to the word specialist. So let's just say we have a B level specialist, a C level, which it depends on what their certifications are. There's no reason they shouldn't be making 50, 60, and upwards of 100 to $150,000 a year. And what dictates the wage that they make is the shop rate coming out of the billable hours that are going to go out the door. And you got that consumer that is like, well, that's too much. Well, how much are you making an hour? What's your yearly salary? You making $150,000, 120? I'm nowhere near that. I pay two of my guys more than I pay myself as a shop owner. And people look at me like I'm strange. I'm like, no, they need to be making the wage.
Right. Yeah.
I'll sooner take the hit and make sure they're comfortable with a living wage. And I want to get them to they're making six figures. That's my goal.
Yeah, because I'm sure that you went through the pain of understanding that if you lose a good tech, man, all the trying to find that replacement, the time, the effort, it's so much better to keep them.
Yep.
Than it is to try to
and develop them from, I had one guy that, and from day one, he said he did not, this was not his lifelong passion. He liked working on cars, and we actually grew him from a green specialist technician to a ASE certified technician till the time he left in July. So he was here 5 years.
Wow.
We grew him from nothing, and he became a very, very good mechanic technician specialist. But he told us from day one this was not what he wanted to do for the rest of his life. And I got another apprentice here I'm going to be growing as well. So that's where our challenge is as a shop owner is A, finding those skilled people, or B, finding the person that has the interest and likes to work and grow their skills in this field in the automotive repair industry. Because you had mentioned it, what's going on is the people were pushing college education, or if they go to a high school vocational program in our area, yeah, we have people sitting on that trustee board as far as helping with the automotive program, but the dealerships are there too. And they have bigger pockets to hire all these kids out of there. And then next thing you know, they're driving them out of the industry because they're just a gopher or cleaning the floors.
Yeah.
And they don't want to do that. They want to get out into a field where they can get their hands dirty and learn. And if you can bring them in as a shop owner at that level, show them the path that they have to grow their skills, you're more than likely to keep them. And then we can eliminate this technician shortage that everybody's talking about.
The exact thing you just described is exactly what we just discussed yesterday. So we're hiring people like A players at pretty high salaries, but the whole idea is they help us bring in these kids that are fresh out of college that are just gung ho and want to learn and want to get, and they stay with you for that first year, and you bring them up in SEO techniques or whatever it may be. Same thing with you guys. You start them off as a journey as green and bring them on up. Those are the ones that stay with you. They're going to stay longer than the average. So that's one of the questions I like to ask. How do you that's one of the biggest topics in the auto repair industry. How do you find, hire, and retain good techs. And I think that's what you just, is there anything else you'd want to add? Because that's one of my major questions I ask in all my podcasts.
So there's finding them. Truthfully, I haven't really had a problem, and there are companies out there like Promotive, AIM that will help the hiring process.
Okay.
And I haven't used that type of service yet. Basically, what I've been doing is either word of mouth or social media posting. And I actually did some posting out on my social media when I was looking for people, not a sign-on bonus, because I agree with this terminology. I see a lot of people doing sign-on bonus.
Okay.
So the perspective of that is if you're going to give somebody, let's just say a $250 or $500 sign-on bonus just to be hired,
Mm-hmm.
you already got staff that they never received a sign-on bonus.
Oh,
So that's a perspective of your staff, like, hey, you're going to give it to them, but I never got it.
I never got it. Yep.
So I changed that. I was thinking about that because I see a lot of people doing it. But what I did when I did my social media posting is I did a referral. So if you refer somebody to us and we talk to them and we go through the hiring process and we bring them on board, I'm going to give the referral person the bonus.
The bonus. Smart.
And it's just eliminates that. The other part of that is you have to be creative. You had mentioned it. Not a lot of shop owners can afford to bring in that top level diag specialist or A level guy
Right.
because they want huge salaries
Mm-hmm.
to start. And you're going off either their reference or their word of how good they are. And I'd sooner bring somebody in at a reasonable rate and build a package for them that shows them, okay, if you come in here as a base, and this is how I do it, I got a base salary, they get an hourly wage. If they hit so much productivity hours, then it jumps to what we call flat rate. So it's a huge jump from their hourly. It's an incentive.
Right.
All right.
Okay.
If you bill 40 hours, it goes from, let's just say $26 an hour to 35 because now your shop's being paid because you're getting all that billable hours and you're not losing money. So and then benefits are the toughest thing. I wanted to get to a point with the business that I could afford to pay healthcare 100% if they wanted it.
The HMO. Yeah.
So I got a health insurance program for them. Now it's a mid grade. I don't go the high, I didn't go low.
Right.
I pay dental vision at 100% for the employee. I had a couple employees that don't need it. So I had to be creative, and I got this out of a succession class I took. I looked at it. I wasn't paying health insurance for two of the other staff, so saving me money. But on the other hand, I'm gypping them out of a benefit. So I became creative. I got a 3-tiered benefit package. So the tier 3 is the big one. So if they didn't need health insurance, I got other options. Okay, do you need mortgage assistant, rent assistance, or whatever? And developed a program that they can at least accumulate the benefit if they didn't need the healthcare package. So you got to think outside the box in order to retain your staff and be creative. We went to a 4-day work week. That's a huge attraction.
Oh, 4-day work week. Yeah.
Yep. So we are here 4 days, Monday through Thursday, 10 hours, and they get every Friday off.
Okay. Yeah, I've got another client that does the exact same thing. He's in Texas.
And I closed the week of the 4th of July.
Oh, you closed the week of the 4th. Okay.
Yep. It was wound up being it was a necessity one year, and it wound up being a good necessity and a good mid-year break for the staff.
Right. And they can take their families on vacations or go to July spots, camping, whatever.
Yep. And it was not a huge revenue week anyhow because everybody's on vacation.
Everybody's on vacation anyway. Oh, that's a smart idea.
So that's another attraction to help bring in people and retain. And if you can build packages around that kind of stuff, you're gonna be able to help retain it and bring new prospects into your place for employment. So it's a challenge. Like I said, I was never a shop owner. I never went to school for business, accounting, finance. I needed to learn all this as I go, and I'm still learning. I'm still learning to be a shop owner, and I tell my staff, I don't think of you as as I'm your boss. I'm one cog in the wheel. We all make that wheel go.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I,
It's a quick question. Have you ever had somebody just come to your shop and say, "Hey, I want to work for you"?
yes,
Good culture. As I
yep,
wrote it down. I already knew the answer to my question before I asked it. Because you have good culture in your shop.
it is. And I tell them all the time. There's times my biggest problem I have that I have to correct is time management and focus. I find myself just going in different directions, and then I lose focus over here, and it's over here. Um,
Mm,
so I'm a work in progress,
yeah.
and I try to be the best boss or shop owner I can to and leader for my staff, and sometimes I lack, and I tell them that. So there's a lot of things that go on that it's a continuation, and you just can't be satisfied with status quo. You have to strive to be better. And if you strive to be better, the leadership, people will follow. They like to follow leaders that have that guidance and show authority, knowledge, and compassion.
What are the major trends that you've noticed in the auto repair technology and customer preferences?
Well,
Where do you start
this,
on that one, right?
yeah, where do you start? This
Um,
industry is constantly changing. The biggest challenge I think we all face is, somebody calls in the check engine lights on, and
okay,
they go to one of the box stores that scanned them and tries to sell them apart. Hey, here's the fix.
right.
It's not always the fix. And then they call for us. Well, they told us here's the code, here's what's wrong, how much. Well, first off, we need to test and evaluate the problem. That code is a GPS signal. It's just a location on the map. We have to navigate to get it there.
Okay.
Well, what's the charge for that? Well, we're going to be starting around $200 just to start testing. If we have to go farther, it's going to be X amount. And they're like, wow. I'm like, oh, you want the problem fixed or you just want to throw a part at it? So there's the biggest challenge is the technology out there, the consumer education of what they're actually driving and the cost to repair it. They have no clue. I had an extended warranty company that a lot of shops don't like dealing with them. I'll deal with them. I just let the customer know up front. I set the expectation. And when they come in and say, hey, I got an extended warranty. All right, here's the expectation of what may happen. I had one that was going to pay me $65 an hour. I said, dude, this isn't 1970 anymore. And this was a 2019 vehicle, and they were going to pay us $65 an hour to work on this vehicle. Now it's one of the ones you see on TV. I'm not going to name
Yeah.
names.
Yeah, yeah.
And I said, that's fine. I will, because I'll relay that to the customer. Okay, here's what we found. Here's the total estimate. Here is what your warranty is paying, and here is what you owe me. How do you want me to proceed? So it's the consumer education, right? I've been running a couple basic car care clinics over the last couple years, trying to generate an interest in this. Basically, it was a car care clinic. My dad did them back in the day. We did them for the Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, women, first drivers, and stuff like that. So I revamped them, and I tried to create. So my one was running in the winter was called a wine and wrenches. I'd bring a local winery in and have them samples here while we went through a car care clinic.
Wow.
And then in the fall, I did one. It was called Suds and Service. I had a craft brew house come in with samples of their product, kind of cross promoting the community.
Yep.
So I'm going to revamp them. I'm going to redo it. I just haven't set a date, but I want to change it. I want to make them a consumer educational series, not just a basic car care clinic, because you can always talk about, all right, here's how you change your spare tire. Here's how you check your fluids and stuff so many times.
Okay.
I want to start educating the consumer. Like the first one I have envision doing is talking about ADAS. Most of the driving community don't even know what ADAS is.
No, they have no idea.
It's the advanced driver assistance system. It's all safety features. Well, what's ADAS? I'm like, well, it's your lane departure, your backup camera, and all. Oh, it all may need recalibrated when it comes to a repair. So if you properly educate the consumer of what their expectations should be when they come into a repair facility, I think that's where our industry really needs to do some grassroots campaigning about.
My brain's just reeling. The parallels between our two businesses are some. We created the 150 quick tips for auto repair for automotive owners, and then we brand those 150 tips all less than 60 seconds with your branding, and we post them on all the social media channels because too many companies in our space they think it's called sell my stuff media. No,
Right.
it's social media. So we take a picture of you and we make you the little animated video and say, hey, would you like to, what's one of the videos? Would you like to get better fuel mileage and have your tires last longer? Check your tire pressure. So, and then at the end, it just says Fadely's Auto, what you're doing within the community, I don't have one owner that we've already said, hey, if you get involved in the community and you do what you were just talking about, wine and wrenches, great idea. That comes back, not instantly, sometimes instantly, people will book right away. But I mean, that stuff really comes back long term. And then you take pictures of that wine and wrenches and you send it to your digital marketing agency and they should post it on all of the social media channels. So we create 8 to 10 social media channels. Most of our clients just have one or two. What's not enough? You need reels and all that other stuff. So next time you do one of those, be sure you take photos. Did you take photos of the last one that you did?
Yep. And I did some posting. I have I have a YouTube channel, and that's some of my time management things that I want to do.
Awesome.
I need to get better at videos up there. There's not a lot, and some of them are old. So I need to get better with doing that. Now, the one technician that we grew, he was my social media TikToker and Reels guy.
Oh, was he? Okay, all right.
And I bought all the guys down in the shop a tripod that they could put the shop phone and take video of any repairs. Now they're not doing it because he was the one doing it all. And since he's left, we haven't had a lot of posting about that, but he put a couple out there that the one of them has like 6 million views. And all it was just the heat induction gun on a rusted bolt. It had 6 million views. And I was like, dude, okay, that's great. That's viral. How do we make money on that?
Right.
I'm looking at the financial side. So that's some of the stuff I want to get back into and be more active on the TikTok, the Reels, the Instagram, and all that stuff. I just don't have, I'm not a social media guy. Like for my podcast that I do on craft beer, I know how to grow it. I don't have the time to dedicate to it.
Right,
Making the short reels to push them to the long form interview form that we have on our YouTube. And it's the same thing here. None of us have that kind of time. So you have to find somebody like yourself that has the time and the expertise. It's going to cost you, but it's not an expense. It's investments.
right.
Because anything you can invest in that's going to help you improve yourself, your business, your staff, and your community is worth that time and effort.
Yeah, we're in the video world now. I'll after the podcast, I'll have a quick discussion with you on that. What we're doing with video, it's it's really really important. But you hit the nail on the head with the shorts. So this podcast, there's a reason that I'm videoing this. So we're going to do the audio. It's going to go out to all the SoundCloud, Podbean, Apple, all that. But the real value is when we create 25 short clip videos from this podcast and post it on all the social media channels.
Yep.
So now we got 250 mentions of Fadely's Auto out on the internet in video format, which is like exercise. It can't hurt, So I do these podcasts more for the video than I do the audio because it's the video that we're in a video world now. So, let me ask you this one. What are some of the biggest challenges that you've faced, or this is a question I have on another questionnaire I have. What is a time that you had a really difficult time and you made it through? Like you already mentioned one of them. Mom passed away and you found out there was no money in the bank. That's kind of a big one that you made it through. So you already shared one with me. That's a huge one. So any other anything that's memorable? What are some of the biggest challenges you faced in running your shop?
I think right now the biggest challenge is putting everybody in the same perspective. what I learned at the summit was I took one of those things, keynotes that I took away was I I had to change my perspective of this was not my dream. It is my dream. I have this passion to make this business sustainable and profitable for the future. The biggest challenge I think is getting your entire team to have the same passion you do to strive for the same goals. Because not every employee has that passion. They look at it sometimes as a job. So I
Right.
think that is going to be one of my biggest challenges is to get them on the same page, build that passion and get them focusing for the same with the same passion and energy and effort that I have. When I took my succession class, I have a 10-year retirement plan. I've already started my succession plan. 10 years, and we're going to put a date in the table. That's the date I retire. I walk away. And they brought up like trying to be an absentee owner. And I said, absolutely not. And like, what? Why wouldn't you want to reap the benefits if you have your shop or your shops, multiple shops running and your business operating without you there and you just reaping the benefits? I said, absolutely not. Like, why? I said, because A, if my name is on that building and I have an attachment to there, me personally would have to be there every day. That's who I am as a person. If I'm involved, I'm going to be there. So the best thing for me personally is to cut that tie and walk away. So right now, it's the biggest struggle I'm going to have is getting the team to have that passion, building my successor to have the same passion I have so that when that day comes, that this business is still profitable, sustainable for the community and continue the legacy that my parents have built.
Right.
So that's going to be a struggle. I mean, the other struggle is just the technology and tooling you need and the skill set that for your staff that they have it, that they're running the business the way you want it run. Recently, we've had that problem. I took my hands off the wheel. I had trusted them to run the operation and let me actually work on the business daily. And then started to see some things, profits weren't there. My bank account was starting to dwindle. It was declining. ARO was declining. Hours per ticket were declining. And then when I started to dive back in and do what my coach has been telling me to do your audits, I started questioning, like, hey, why aren't you doing this? This is the way I've been telling you I want it done. Why aren't you doing it that way? Well, they didn't like that. So two of the service advisors I had here took offense to it and quit because I took my hand off the wheel and left my staff run it. So that's a big challenge to make sure your staff's doing it the way, you've trained them, but why didn't they continue that? So I guess I don't understand, but that's a challenge as a shop owner we have to face every day.
That's the challenge every business owner faces because you just described my challenges.
Yep.
I just fired somebody. They had an onboarding a call. They called in sick, didn't bother to tell anybody that, hey, you need to reschedule these for me. I'm sick, and the client calls me and says, hey, what's going on? That's it. They're gone. Just no passion. So it's hard.
Yep.
Hard finding the people that
it is hard. However, I think they're there. They're out there.
They are. They're just hard to find.
And as a shop owner, you're the leader that they're going to look to. So it's how you groom them and you set the expectations. So I'm not as good at it as I should be. So, you set the expectations, you train them up, and you show them their goals and that they meet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not always good at holding them accountable for all of it. Sometimes that's part of my problem. I get lackluster in my leadership skills.
Right. So that's what we're focusing on with my company personally is KPIs. This is what we hired you for. This is how many times we expect you to get that done today, this week, this month, and then those numbers feed into a scorecard. So we got some sort of thing to go by, and then we use EOS. Get it when they have the capacity to do it. GWC. So if any one of those three on their monthly evaluations, if that goes away, we give them 30 days to fix it. But most of the time, if they don't get it, want it, or have the capacity to do it anymore, it's time to let them go. And you do them and your company a favor by getting rid of them.
Yep. Yep. We had a technician here. He was very skilled. He was here for a long time, and you hated to see him quit. Because he didn't want to do this, and you could tell his attitude in the industry became very toxic. And
Oh,
once he
that
quit,
will affect the other,
we couldn't let him go because he was a producer,
right?
and we liked him. Everybody liked him, but in the shop, he was very toxic because he just hated this industry. So he actually quit and got out of it. And once that happened, that toxic energy extracted from the building. And it actually helped my successor, who was here at the time, was still kind of a young technician. It actually helped him grow quicker when that toxic level left, because I think it was holding him back too.
Yeah, you're describing what I'm reading in the book Traction by Gino Wickman. That's the entrepreneurial operating system. Companies are using this all over the world now. But that's exactly what he talks about. When you analyze the people that want to have the capacity to do it, you go through the process that's in the book. If there's one of those that you mark no, then that person has to go. But companies are hesitant. They do the yeah but thing, and I need this, but he always says that's a mistake. But it's hard for us as the owners. Look, I got to let this person go because you needed that production out of that person. But then once they were gone, what you just described to me is exactly what was said in the book. It was always better. You
Yep.
know,
And you don't see it because you're looking at the here and now.
right. Yeah. Yeah. You can't see what it's going to be like after because you're afraid to pull the trigger on the after. But that's where he says you got to make this clean decision. No matter how long they've been there or how much you like them, if they don't have that GWC, want to have the capacity to do it, you have to let them go. So anyway, anybody listening, if you haven't heard of EOS by Gino Wickman, that's probably one of the best management processes on planet Earth right now. So then I'm working to get my company set up following that program, and I know other companies that are currently using it very, very successfully. They said it was one of the big turning points. So, what key management practices have you? What are key management practices that you've found that have really contributed to your shop's success?
I think the first off, the coaching has really helped me.
Okay.
Um, I've had a couple coaches. My first one is Rick White from 180 Biz. He was my first business coach because I sat into a training class during this initial phase that
Okay.
he talked about, KPIs. I didn't even know what a KPI was then.
Oh, until okay. All right.
And then I came back and I looked at our numbers and I was like, yeah, this isn't working. So that's been the key factor for me to drive this business to get it to where it should be. I'm not saying my parents did a bad job. Maybe they didn't know. I
Right. Right.
mean,
Yeah.
we used to do training. We go to training, we've taken business classes and stuff like that through, but they weren't to the skill sets that they are now. So I have no clue what my parents learned or what. But that was my biggest thing, is getting a coach, showing me what we weren't doing and how we could do it better. So that has been, like I said, I will never not have a business coach. I do recommend you find a coach and interview. There's many coaching companies out there. Find the one that's going to fit you. I'm currently with a company that I don't like contracts. I didn't know it was a long contract, but it is. I'm not saying anything bad about them because they have taken me from one level to the next. But definitely get a coach, because that's the one thing that has helped us understand the business. Because I think we had mentioned earlier, a lot of the way shop owners have come about, they were never business people. They were technicians that didn't like working for somebody. They wanted to be their own boss,
Right. And they started a shop. Right. Yeah.
and they don't know how to run a business.
Right. So the
And
coach is going to be, yep, is going to save them years of the pain and struggle. So I've I preach that to all of my clients. Do you have a coach? No. I suggest you get one if you want to expand the business, or if you want to change it pretty radically. So so we already went over how to attract and retain staff. I think besides doing the outreach in the local community, the bottom line is always good shop culture. People hear that you're a good shop to work with. There are other technicians know other technicians, and so all of a sudden someone comes knock on your door and says, Hey, I'm looking for a different place. I'm not liking where I'm at right now. And you know why they don't like where it's at? The personality clashes or shop culture, usually,
Yep.
So,
So
uh,
when I bring somebody in, I'll do the initial discussion and then I get my staff involved because they're the ones that's going to have to ultimately make the decision and work with them.
right. And that was one of my next questions. What advice would you give to someone just starting their own repair shop today? Get a coach
Get a coach.
and get a digital marketing agency that knows what they're doing because
Correct.
that's where your money's going to come from, correct?
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. So Tools is a training event. We're going to have it here in Lancaster, May 29th to June 1st,
Okay.
at the Wyndham Lancaster Resort and Conference Center. Registrations aren't open yet. We're still trying to get the back end stuff with online registrations to work. I'm already a couple weeks behind. We have a full itinerary with some top-notch training from technical management, marketing, service advisor. We even got collision classes. So it's something for everybody for your entire staff from front to back. So we definitely encourage you. And if you don't make it to Tools, look for a training event in your area. Like, I'll be at Vision in Kansas City in March. There's other regional events. We have one here that Mid Atlantic's going to be doing in November. It's called Super Saturday. You got ASTA. You had mentioned you'll be up in Washington with the ACA up there.
Yeah, and I'll be at Vision.
Okay, and I know Florida has. So these training events are huge. I do advocate just don't take yourself as the owner, or if you're a technician or a staff person and you see these training events, encourage your shop owner, if they don't mention it, to think about it, making the investment. It's not an expense. Yes, it can be expensive to go to these events if you take the entire staff with travel, training, food, and all that. But it is an investment in your team, and it's the best investment I ever made 3 years ago when I took the first time our business ever took the entire team to a training event. Not only will you build your camaraderie in your shop, you're going to help your shop culture that you're showing as a shop owner. I am making an investment to better my staff's abilities and build their skills. You learn a lot and you get outside your work environment, and it was a huge team building weekend. So every year we go down to ASTA and I take their they go to Tools. That's the event I'm kind of in charge of.
Okay.
So I definitely advocate to go to these and seek out these training events.
Yeah, I didn't know you were going to be at Vision, so that's cool. I'm going to see you in just a couple weeks.
Yeah, I'll be out there, and you'll have to look for Jimmy and I in our jacket exchange thing that we're doing.
Oh, Jimmy Lee?
Yep.
Okay. You're doing a jacket exchange?
Yeah, I kind of started that trend with him at Tools this past May
Right.
because he always had the nice jackets, and I told him he better bring his A game. So
I saw him at Asta. He had a pretty snappy jacket on then, so
well, which one was it? Was the black with the gold one?
I think so.
That's the one that we exchanged. So that was the one I
Okay.
bought him.
Oh,
So we buy each other a jacket, and then we got a little plaque that got made, a little plastic chain of we vote who wore it best.
okay. Sounds like fun.
So it's a little jacket thing we got going on.
So I hate the tools is the website aasp-pa.org.
No, Mid Atlantic ACA.
Okay, because I that's the address I've got here. So
That's yeah, it's
and
everything is moved over to Mid Atlantic ACA.org/tools.
see, oh, okay, .org.
So that's our Mid Atlantic ACA website. And if you go to the events and click on the tools,
Oh, so what is that domain again? It's
Mid
MAA.
Atlantic, Mid Atlantic
Oh,
ACA.
you spell it out.
Spell Mid Atlantic ACA.
Tick. Okay, all right, all right. That was the mistake I made. ACA.org. / tools. Yep, got it. Okay, so
So
let me copy that because I've got the old address in my thing. So let me get over here. Get the new one in there. So I can delete that old one, right?
You can delete the old one. Yeah, AASP, the site is still up, but we're working on getting rid of that.
Awesome.
That's some of the back end stuff with from our growth zone area, as far as where we create the event and attendance and registrations and stuff that they can do online. That's some of the back end stuff that we're still trying to get fixed.
Okay. All right.
I wanted to have registrations open by the beginning of February, but it didn't happen.
Okay, cool. So anybody listening, you want to find out information about this trade show and training event for your shop and your staff, it's midatlanticaca.org/tools. So that's the new domain. So I look forward to seeing you in PA. But that's a pleasant surprise. I'll be seeing you in a couple weeks.
Yep.
In Milwaukee at where is that? Wichita.
Kansas City.
Kansas. That was a really even the place Sherry decided to have the that event was smart because I asked her about it in a podcast I did with Sherry, and she said, "Yeah, I didn't want that Vegas atmosphere. I want the family. So even the venue that she chose was smart." Compared to some of the other ones. So and she's right. It is really good family oriented. Mid-America.
Well, where we're hosting the tools event, I'm hoping that we can outgrow this venue. However, it's in Lancaster County, so there's a lot to do. We encourage you to bring your family. Right across the street is an amusement park for younger kids. So if you got younger kids, bring them along. There's Dutch Wonderland. It's right across the street.
Perfect.
You got Tanger outlets. There's other outlets shopping in Lancaster, and it's Amish country.
Right. It's Amish country. Yeah. I go to visit my mom, and every time I go visit her, she's in Westlake, Ohio, up by the lake. And I drive 2.5 hours south to go to the Amish country. And I've got cheese in my refrigerator right now that I buy from the Amish country, and summer sausage, although we ate all the summer sausages. So I buy enough for the year. I throw it in my luggage and bring it back and put it in the refrigerator, and it lasts. So yeah, I love Amish country. My wife and I have scheduled an extra day in Lancaster for the tools event just so we can go around. So my wife got tired of me flying in, setting up, and then leaving. She said, no, I want one day. So everywhere we go, we do a day. So I did the MAP conference in St. Louis. So we scheduled an extra day. We went to the Arch. So I planned one day for my wife and I where we just can go around this Lancaster. Because I grew up in Metro Ohio. I have never been in Lancaster before. So I'm looking forward.
Yeah, come get a shoe fly pie, a whoopie pie, anything. It's good food. So with the tools, we got, we're going to do a kickoff party by the pool. Hopefully the weather's permitting.
Right.
We got AWIA, the Automotive Women and Automotive.
Oh, okay, great.
We're going to do a social with them on Friday night. Tons of training options. The trade show is definitely on Saturday. Little hint, we may have it on Friday as well.
Oh,
maybe awesome. A 2-day thing.
Okay, like Vision does. Okay, yeah.
It's still in the works. We're still trying to see if we can get the trade show space at the reasonable cost that we can still do it for Friday as well. So it's not official yet.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to coming. Cecil's the one that recommended that I even contact you and go. I said, where should I be? This is where I'm at now. He says, you're not at Tools. You need to go to Tools. So there's a reason for that. So I'm really looking forward to going. And any auto repair shop owner, especially if you're in that part of the country, anywhere around there, you need to come to Tools. Look up the training events. It's midatlanticaca.org, right, /tools. And then all the schedule in there with all the classes and everything. It's there. Correct?
Yep. Well, it's not there yet, but it will be.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. It's coming up soon. All right. No problem. Okay, awesome. So I really appreciate your time today. We will, like I said, we'll make all the shortcut videos.
Hey, Paul, appreciate you having me on your show. So thank you very much.
For additional automotive resources and exclusive content, follow us on Spotify and subscribe to our YouTube channel to catch all our episodes. Thanks again for joining us in the driver's seat, and we'll see you next time for another thrilling episode of Top Shop.